Hey there, podcast lovers. Looking for a fresh take on the world? Tune into Nikki's World, where we dive into everything hitting the headlines and chat about just what's on our minds. No filters, just real talk. Whether you're sipping your morning coffee or unwinding after a long day, Nikki's World is your go-to for genuine commentary on the real world. Subscribe now if you want to hear the real deal on what's going on. Join the conversation on Nikki's World, where every episode feels like catching up with an old friend. Don't miss out.
What's up, y'all? Let's do this. Oh, hi guys. Welcome to Nikki's World. I'm Nikki, your host, and today, guys, we're going to talk about the decline of firefighting in Connecticut, why firefighting's on the decline in this state. We're going to talk about that and so much more. But before we go any further, guys, if you guys love Nikki's World so much, seriously, y'all, can you all please consider donating a cup of coffee for me? Because for the price of a cup of coffee at Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, and Cumberland Farms, guys, you guys help keep this podcast show alive. You guys help me curate more stories, more topics like this to talk about. I do accept Bitcoin donations. I am on Ko-fi, guys. If you guys want to support, sponsor, donate, and tip to Nikki's World. If you guys love Nikki's World so much, seriously, y'all, please hit that like, subscribe, please give me a review, good, bad, and the ugly. Also, guys, I do have a bunch of affiliate links. First off is Minds.com. Minds.com is a Connecticut-based social media platform. It is an alternative to Facebook. So if you value your right to freedom of speech like I do, guys, you guys can join me at Minds.com. Also, guys, I do have a link with Burner. If you guys value your right to Second Amendment, but you want to do it in a less lethal manner, guys, you guys can head on over to my friends at Burner. They have their top of the line Burner LE, Burner SD, TCR, Mission 4, and their newest compact launcher out there. So if you guys want to defend yourself, but you want to do it in a less lethal manner, head on over to my friends at burner.com. They'll hook you up. Also, guys, I do have friends at North Shore Medical Supply. If you know someone who needs to wear adult diapers like I do, guys, and you know someone that needs to be put in diapers, send them on over to my friends at North Shore Medical Supply. They will hook them up with the top of the line Megamax diaper, North Shore Supreme pull ups, and their Turner boosters, guys. Frankly, guys, I wear the Megamax diapers, and they are my favorite go-to diapers. So if you know someone who needs to wear adult diapers like I do, guys, send them on over to my friends at North Shore Medical Supply. They will hook them up. And before we get this show on the road, literally, guys, if you guys love this episode and any of my other episodes on Nikki's World, Seriously, y'all, seriously, can y'all please consider sharing this across all the social media platforms that are out there today? Ooh, wow, that was a mouthful. That was a mouthful. And yes, guys, I am diapered up as always. I'm always in my North Shore Megamax diapers with my Eterna boosters, and I also have my onesies from Little Comforts as well. So I am diapered up as always, guys, and basically, let's get on with the show, shall we? So, today, guys, I want to talk about this real quick before we get on to the episode. This is happening right now on Fox Live right now. I'm watching that the the Vatican has now elected a new pope, and because they sent white smoke up, that means they have elected a pope. I wish we could do that here in the United States, where if we want to elect someone, we just have to do it by smoke signal. Yeah, but as of right now, and I'm watching this live for you guys on Fox Live now, that they have elected a new pope. More of that story will come about tomorrow. But as of right now, this is breaking news as I'm podcasting to y'all in my diaper onesie. Okay, so let's get on with the show, shall we? So this week, guys, this came out on like all my local networks, basically on like News 8, like NBC and WFSB. They were talking about how there is a lack of firefighters in the state of Connecticut. Now, quite frankly, guys, I used to volunteer at a fire department, but I don't anymore. And there are reasons for that, and I will tell you those reasons down in the episode. But I will say like this, guys: the economy is changing, the demographics is changing. A lot of the firehouses in Connecticut are still white majority, and most of these white majority members live in suburbs that are basically majority white. There's very few like suburbs or very few cities in Connecticut that have volunteer fire departments, but vast majority of the suburbs, okay, are all majority white. And what these articles that I'm gonna link below in the description is that they don't hit the fact that Connecticut has a demographic problem. Connecticut has a problem demographic wise, especially in the fire departments in Connecticut. Okay. Now in the cities like say Hartford, New Britain, Waterbury, Bristol, New Haven, Bridgeport, and New London, they don't have that problem, okay? They don't. But in the suburbs of Connecticut, yes, they do have that problem. And they have that problem of attracting people to firefighting, especially to what? Women, minorities. They have that problem. Being Asian American myself, guys, I count myself as a minority. And a lot of fire departments, especially one in my hometown in Connecticut, which is all volunteer, they don't even talk to minorities. They don't even talk to women. They don't even look at the minorities that live in the suburbs and say, hey, how would you like to consider volunteering for us? Or what minorities, we encourage you to come down to our firehouse. Come look at us on training days. They don't encourage that. A lot of the volunteer firehouses in Connecticut, quite frankly, treat it as the good old boys club. the Elks Lodge, okay, or the American Legion Outpost. They treat it like that, but they don't treat it as a public service agency. They don't treat it as we serve the community. That's why I see these articles and I sit there and I go, that's why a lot of volunteer fire departments are having a hard time recruiting people because they don't recruit people that they serve. They don't. I know, for example, and this is a one-off card. Bloomfield is like a majority, a mix of black and white, but they don't do enough. They don't. I see this all the time. I see this where I drive around town and I see where some suburb towns have signs that say, "Hey, join this fire department, join this." Here's the question I ask to all these fire departments in Connecticut. What are you doing to attract more people? What are you doing to attract women and minorities? What are you doing? When you put signs out like that, are you saying that you're attracting just like white males or family members of volunteer firefighters? What are you doing? What are you doing? If you say you serve the community, shouldn't you have people that live in your community represent the community that they're serving? I mean, I'll give you an example. I went to my volunteer firehouse's pasta supper. What I noticed starkly is that vast majority of the members there are all white male. There's very few, about one or two females, okay? But majority of them are all white. So as a minority, as an Asian American, I don't feel comfortable going to a place that is all white, doesn't have minorities that represent my views, represent my interests. Doesn't, as they say, represent people like me living in the community. They don't. Instead, a lot of these volunteer fire departments, especially one in my hometown, vast majority of the members are all white, male, and female. That's it. There's no what black, Hispanic, or Asian member. There's none. So how does that make me feel about like wanting to join a volunteer fire company, knowing that the representation is what all white, male, and female, but no black, Hispanic, Asian? That's why, ladies and gentlemen, the population of volunteer firefighting is dying. Give you an example, guys. In Torrington, there were like a firehouse that closed. Torrington. And I sit there and I go, why aren't you recruiting minorities? Why aren't you asking minorities to join up? Why aren't you asking more women? Why? Why? Is it that you want to keep firefighting as all male? All white male? Why? Why, ladies and gentlemen? That's all I'm asking. Why? But the fact of the matter is, guys, these articles that I'm highlighting from WTNH, and I'll read you this one article. Connecticut sees over 50% decline in the firefighter workforce. And this one from WTNH. Public safety crisis report reveals number of firefighters has dropped immensely in Connecticut. Well, yeah, it has dropped because here's the reason. Nobody wants to volunteer anymore. Nobody doesn't. Nobody. And the fact that the vast majority of volunteer firefighters are what in their what 30s, 40s, 50s, right there. But the flip side of all that is, what are they doing to attract more minorities? What are they doing to get more minorities to join volunteer firefighting? What are they doing? What are they doing to say to minorities, hey, I know you want to do a career in firefighting. Why don't you come to our volunteer firehouse? We'll train you up. And then when it's time to go apply to that career department job, we can help you get there. I don't I don't understand why a lot of volunteer fire departments don't do that. Don't Why they don't do that as a way of, hey, you want to go work for this fire department, or like say Boston Fire, New York City Fire, come join our fire department. We train you so that way when you want to go apply to go work for them, we you have the skill sets. You're way ahead of all the other applicants. You're good to go. Yeah. Well, I don't know why volunteer fire departments don't do that. I know volunteer EMS falls in the same thing. They're declining too, because I know that not a lot of volunteer EMS squads will recruit women and minorities. It's mostly what? White, male, which is about it. But I see this as a problem that not a lot of volunteer fire departments see. And if they don't wake up and smell the goddamn motherfucking coffee, then you're going to see more volunteer firehouses close, and you're going to see them convert to what? Paid or combination town just to survive? I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I used to volunteer as a firefighter. I got out because a lot of the firehouses didn't like minorities like me, didn't like people like me. They didn't like the fact that I'm a minority in a vast majority that's all white. They didn't promote like inclusion. They didn't promote diversity. And then you wonder why a lot of people say that firefighting is a domain of white males. And then you wonder why. It's because people like me, who are minorities, who happen to have like what, a medical background that could have been useful for the firehouse, they don't recruit us. They don't. They don't. But sad to say, I don't I don't care if they decline 100%. I'm just going to sit there and say, where's your drive to get more women and minorities in the department? Where's your where's your recruiting officer that says, "Hey, let's talk to minorities. Let's talk to women." I don't see that. And in fact, I never will. And to me, I go like this. If volunteer firefighting and firefighting declines, it's great, because I'll just sit there and go like this. You shot yourselves in the foot. You basically didn't didn't think far enough in the head to say, "Oh man, why is our population aging? Why is our firefighting company aging, and we're not getting new members? Why?" Maybe you should start looking around your community. Maybe start going to local churches, maybe going around like schools talking to minorities and saying, "Hey, let's do a field trip day to the firehouse. Show you our equipment, everything. Show you a career potential down the line. Saying if you want to go work, say at give you an example, the submarine-based fire department. We can train you to get to that job." They don't see that. They don't see it. And as a result, ladies and gentlemen, volunteer firefighting is on the decline in Connecticut. And it's going to continue to decline until it reaches the point where people are going to sit there and say, what are we doing in terms of recruiting and attracting people? What are we doing to attract minorities? What are we doing to attract women? They're not doing anything. They're just doing the old, well, you gotta come from this family or this family to do this and this and this. And if you're not from this family or this family, you don't get into the firehouse. That's why whenever I see a volunteer firehouse, I look at it from the lens of, yeah, that's where white people get to do their stuff. That's where white males get to do their thing. Okay? That's how I look at it because they don't attract minorities, they don't ask minorities, they don't invite minorities to the firehouse. They don't. So that's how we view it. That's how we see it. And that's how we know, for example, that, hey, you keep complaining that, oh, volunteer firefighting is on a decline. We don't know how to get more people to come in. Well, now you're complaining when people have been suggesting ideas like saying, hey, look, start looking at minorities, start looking at women, start talking to minorities about firefighting. Start talking to them about EMS. Start talking to them about that. Saying, hey, you're an EMT, but you don't want to do firefighting? But we're a volunteer firehouse? Great, we need EMTs on the firehouse. We need EMTs. That's even great. But they don't talk like that. They don't think like that. They think what's in the present, what's now. They don't think like, oh, into the future, like, oh shit, our population's gonna decline. We better plan this shit out right now. We better figure out what to do, like, how do we get more people to come in? How do we get more people to join up? They don't think that. They don't see that. And when they don't see that, ladies and gentlemen, that becomes a big problem. And when those articles from WTNH, NBC, Connecticut highlight that becomes a pressing problem. That becomes a pressing issue. And that's why, guys, as an Asian American who used to volunteer for a volunteer fire department, volunteer EMS squad, I applaud those articles because I go like this. A lot of these places don't do a lot to retain, attract, and retain minorities and women. They don't do a whole lot. So because they don't do a whole lot and they're declining, I go like this. Sucks on you guys. Sucks on you guys that you guys don't do a whole lot just to attract, recruit, and retain minorities. You you shot yourselves on the foot in this one, guys. You shot yourselves on the foot in this one. As in being a minority, I go like this. You guys shot yourselves on the foot. And now you're crying that that like, oh, volunteer firefighting is on the decline. What are we doing to recruit and retain these people? What are we doing? What are we doing? Right here from NBC Connecticut. Volunteer firefighting membership plummets around the state, report says. And I'll read you this. Volunteer firefighting ranks are plummeting statewide, with membership down 63 since 2017. That drop, according to the report from the comptroller, Sean Scallion, prompted public and fire officials to raise the alarm about fire safety in Connecticut. And then I'll say this, and then I'll read this paragraph for you. We're facing a recruitment and retention crisis, Scallion, a Democrat Connecticut, said during the press conference on Tuesday. Scallion's office found that a number of career firefighters grew by over 6% over the same period, but most of the state relies on volunteers, though, meaning overall numbers of firefighters statewide is down 50% over the last 8 years. Well, here's the problem, guys. A lot of these volunteer firehouses, they're not selling the message very well. They're not selling anything very well. They're not selling the message to the people. They're not. And then you wonder why, ladies and gentlemen, that the message is not getting across. And then a lot of these people are wondering why they don't volunteer for a firehouse. I give you a good reason. A lot of us minorities, we don't, we think of firefighting as just what? What white people get to do? That's it. That's it. And if minorities have like what? EMT background, then we're going like this, ladies and gentlemen. Not my problem, guys. Not my problem. Not my problem. You guys didn't come talk to us. Y'all only talk to what? People in your own community, in your own niche. But you didn't go outside your niche and say, "Oh, let's talk to minorities that live in our town." Here's a quick tip to all the volunteer firehouses in Connecticut. Go look up the U.S. Census data. How many blacks, Hispanic, and Asians live in your town? And then start talking to them. Start talking to them. It's that simple. Look up your census data and go, how many Asians we have? How many blacks? How many Hispanics do we have? Maybe we should start talking to these people. Maybe focus on these people and say, hey, like, I know you have your EMT and you're not using it. Why don't you come to let's talk about using it here in our firehouse. We can let you be an EMT on a fire truck, which is great, you know. But they don't think like that. They don't. And because they don't think like that, I'm sorry to say this, ladies and gentlemen, it is going to continue to decline and it's only going to get worse until someone with two brain cells rubbed together goes up to them and say, "What the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you thinking? I mean, have you thought this through? Have you figured that how you gonna do this? Have you figured how you're gonna get this to happen? I mean, seriously? I mean, seriously? Have you thought this through? Have you?" But they don't. They don't. And then all they use to attract people, especially to volunteer firehouses, is what? Pasta, pancake breakfast, flower sales. That's it. But they don't at these sales things, they don't do all the recruiting. They don't do all the attracting. They don't do all the whatchamacallit saying, hey, this is what we have to offer to your community. I know you live in our community. How would you like to come serve our community? They don't. But sadly, guys, and I'm going to say this sadly, it's not going to happen anytime soon. It's not. And I'm telling you this right now. I'm telling you this right now. As an Asian American minority, okay, as an Asian American, I know my town volunteer firehouse will never recruit minorities. I know they will never, ever. They'll talk to a white person before they talk to a black, Hispanic, or Asian person. They will always talk to a white person. No doubt about it. But I often say like this. That's why you wonder why, in the larger scheme of things of public service, minorities have a huge distrust of them. If public service agencies want to break down that level of distrust within the minority community, why aren't you doing everything you can to get these minorities to come on board with y'all? Why aren't you? Why? That's all I'm asking. Why? Because here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, they're not. And since they're not doing that, then they're in this trap that they're in with no way out. I'm telling you this. I'm telling you this. That is why, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of volunteer firehouses are in decline. You'll never get a minority like me to wear a turnout gear. You'll never, because they don't do all they can to keep the minority. They don't. They don't. They look at it like this: is that, oh, there's another body that can help us at the fire ground. That's all they look at. But they don't look at the potential of, gee, if we have this Asian American who's an EMT at our firehouse, we better do all we can to elevate, promote, and make sure he or she is the face of our firehouse and attract more minorities to come in. They don't see that. And as a result, they're in decline. And because they're in decline, I sit there as an Asian American minority and go, not my damn motherfucking problem. Not my problem. If my town's volunteer firehouse decides to go career, I go like this. Not my problem, dude. Not my problem. Because you know why? You didn't look at minorities like me. You didn't ask minorities like me to come in. You didn't ask minorities to join up. All you ask is basically white people, white males. And then you wonder why minorities have a grim view of public service. Maybe if you start changing the perception is the key. Maybe if you change the mindset, the viewpoint, the belief of it. If you change that, maybe minorities might consider it. Okay, make it a focal point of like, oh yeah, it's a community center where everyone in the community can help each other out, where they can help the community out. Look, it's that simple. I'll give you an example. If a minority loves to cook, maybe have them set up socials, like as a social service, as like say, oh, we do like potlucks and pasta. He comes in as our cook, and then during training nights, he comes in and cooks dinner for the fire for the fire department while they're doing drills. And then if we ever have like emergency, he comes in with the roach coach and sets up a kitchen for us. That would get more minorities to join. Yeah, that would. But the problem is, a lot of these volunteer fire departments don't see that. And I'm telling you right now, they're going to continue to they're going to continue to decline until they fucking hit rock bottom. And I'm telling you this right now. When they hit rock bottom, it's not my problem. I'm gonna just sit there and I'm gonna just sit there in the back porch in my diaper and onesie and go, you could have asked a minority like me to help y'all out, but you don't, so not my problem. Not my problem. And because of that, ladies and gentlemen, sorry, you had your chance, but no thank you. No thank you. No, 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 no. But that's why I go like this. Not my problem. Not my problem. But that's why, hey, I have my EMT license, but if any volunteer fire department or EMS squad would love to have a minority, great. But if they don't, the day your town turns a career, I'll laugh and go, hey, you could have attracted a minority, but what'd you do? Not say no, and now look where you're at. Hmm. Hmm. I often say, guys, you wonder why volunteer firefighting is on a decline in this country. You wonder why. You wonder why. Maybe if you started attracting minorities, talking to minorities to say, hey, firefighting is an option. If you want to learn to do firefighting, especially what? In the military or what? In the federal government or in the what? Paid cities like Hartford, come join us. We'll train you to go work up in Hartford, you know? We'll train you. Yeah. But they don't see that. And that's why they're on the decline. That's why they're declining. That's why there's not a lot of people that represent the people of their community. It's like it's like a lot of volunteer firehouses that are all white don't have people that represent their community, that represent the people that live in their community. And then the one thing I often say, what are they doing to attract minorities? What are they doing to get people like minorities to join up? What are your recruiting and retention efforts? What are you doing to keep the minorities in your firehouse? What are you doing? If all you're doing is crying and complaining and going on press conferences saying that, oh, this is a decline, this is the decline, this is becoming a public safety issue. Here's the first question as Mrs. John Q. Public here. What are you doing to attract minorities like me? What are you doing to get minorities interested in firefighting? What are you doing to like get minorities into the firehouse and retaining them? What are you doing? Because if you're not doing anything, then all your efforts, all your crying and this and this and this is not. It amounts to shit. Amounts to nothing. Doesn't even help you. Doesn't even aid you in your message. All it does is just says like this: we have an aging firefighting population in the state. We don't attract new members. We're gonna age out to the point that we don't have any new members. So we're gonna fade into the history books. That's where your problem is. And your problem is that you're not doing everything you can to attract minorities. Okay? And I'll give you an example. Volunteer EMS is a great avenue for people who want to get into the medical field, especially what? Nursing, PA, and all that. Why aren't they using that as a hook to get them into those schools? Why aren't they using that hook to get them into, like, say, nursing school or PA school? Why aren't they? They're not. They're not. And as a result, guys, they're declining. And they're on the decline so badly that at this point, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, they're going to continue to decline. And when they continue to decline, guys, I sit there and I go like this: not my problem. And I will tell you this: let them decline. Let them get to a point where they're getting so desperate that they're forced to start recruiting from minorities and women. When they're at that point that they're forced they're forced to go talk to minorities and women, then I'll start considering. But at this point, I'm just going to sit back in my diaper and onesie and watch them decline. Watch them go like this. Not my problem. You said you wanted you said you wanted minorities like you said you wanted more members, but then how come you're not going after minorities like me? How come you're not going after people who have the skills that you need? How come you're not going for those? How come? Maybe it's because you think the old ways of doing things has gotten you where it is. But then I'm gonna sit there and go, has the old ways worked? Has the old ways got you where you are? Has the old ways got you to where you want to be in all this? Has it? No, it hasn't. And I'm telling you, it won't. You know? Mm-mm. But I will tell you, but I will tell you, as volunteer firefighting declines, I'm going to just sit there and go, that's your problem. That's your problem. And as an Asian American and a minority, and who has an EMT background and a firefighting background, I'm not surprised that a lot of volunteer fire departments or volunteer EMS squads have asked me to come ride with them. I'm not surprised. But because they showed because they were highlighting this on the local media, I'm just going like this. Not my problem, bitch. Not my problem. You wanted to be all white, but then you didn't want minorities because you don't want to reflect the community that you serve. Not my problem, homeboy. Not my problem. You know what I mean? Not my problem. Because I'm gonna tell you this. That's your problem. That's your problem. And because you didn't attract minorities like me, hey, that's your problem. That's your problem. And if the town decides to turn you into a paid department because you don't have enough members and all your members is what? All white male and probably some female, I'm gonna sit there and go, hey, you didn't look at your demographics. You didn't look at the US Census Bureau. You didn't look at the latest Census Bureau and say, hey, how many minorities live in our hometown? Okay, so what can we do to go attract these minorities? Well, let's have a firehouse day where we bring the public. We do our training where they can sit, watch, and see how we do it, and then talk to them about joining up. But hey, they don't do these, and then they wonder why minorities don't join. But then again, not my problem. And we're gonna see more of this down the line. We're gonna see more and more and more and more and more and more of this. And when you see more and more and more of this, guys, I'm gonna say it like this. Hey, that's not my problem. You guys said you wanted my you guys said you're complaining that you don't have enough members, but you guys don't recruit and retain minorities. Hey, I'm a minority. I'm Asian. I have my EMT and I have my firefighting background, but y'all don't ask me, but y'all cry about it. Whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? It's that simple, guys. It's that simple. It's the mentality of, oh, let's wait till this problem festers, and when it festers so badly, guys, and then people wonder why they don't look for solutions. They don't. They wait until the problem gets worse. And I'm telling you right now, this problem's going to get worse and worse and worse until it fucking gets better. And when it fucking gets to the point of worse, then they're gonna sit there and go, "Oh man, we should start looking at minorities. We should start looking at women and all this shit. We should start asking them about wanting to join our firehouse. We should." But hey, what I'd say they dug their grave. Now they're gonna sleep in it. They dug their grave, and now they gotta sleep and own it. It's that simple. But anyway, guys, I thank you guys for listening to Nikki's World. I'm Nikki, your host. I will see y'all soon. Bye for now. You just listened to an episode of Nikki's World. Thanks for listening. We'll see y'all soon. Bye for now.